Welcome to the Sonia Buchanan Show, where we inspire one life, one smile at a time. Great day, everyone. It is time for the Sonia Buchanan Show, where we inspire one life, one smile at a time. Listen, we have a great show for you today, and it's going to be called, What Is It Going to Be? And I want to talk about a couple of things that's in the news lately, and that is the buyout of Twitter, the application, the news source application that have been bought out by a billionaire that used his own money, $44 billion, to purchase this company. And he's using his money, and I want to talk to you guys about that and a scenario, because there's many conversations and news reports that the employees are being fired. And I want to talk about a lot of scenarios here on this podcast today. And again, the title is called, What Is It Going to Be? But first, let me give you a overhaul of what I have just been watching. And this has been very intriguing to me to actually watch it. Just reading the scenarios and just reading the tweets. Just a lot of scenarios. And also I want to familiarize yourself with just corporations whenever another corporation has purchased another corporations, because this has been going on for a long time. So this Twitter episode is not a new thing. And the conversations and the news report, it's not a new thing. And I want to talk to you guys about that today. And I also, of course, as I do often, I do not discuss anything that I'm not familiar with or have not experienced. So I'm not like vague or anything, like giving my opinion or giving my 2 cents, because I'm not even experienced with the matter at hand that I'm discussing. But let's go into what has happened. About 8 months ago, maybe 8 to 6 months ago, there was an offer by Mr. Elon Musk to purchase Twitter. This is 8 months ago. And then I believe maybe 6 to 4 months ago, he had a conference with the employees, and he explained several different things to them of what's going to happen, what he was informing them that they were going to be employees laid off. And also, he also talked about different scenarios in the work performance. All of this happens between 8 to 6 months ago. So now in November, I think this is like the second week he has officially owned the company. And there have been many employees have been fired. And I want to talk to you all about this whole scenario and just companies itself and what happens. Now, it's interesting because I read this one tweet where an employee called him out on a social media platform. This is the CEO and the owner of the company, and you just went just ballistic in your tweet about the owner of the company. And what really, I'm not one that takes sides, but I look at things as a scenario here. And I've worked for many corporations, really major corporations. And the first thing I thought was, you actually spoke this publicly about the CEO and the owner of the company that you are currently working for, and called him some derogatory names. And he in turns responded and said, "You're fired," publicly, as the way he publicly embarrassed him. And I thought, as an employee, and you did that, and you working for the company. Now, I've worked for many corporations, and there was one of the thought process that you represent the company. Now, the last company that I worked for was I worked there 12 years, and one of the things that was emphasized, and it's emphasized in corporation, that is the brand of all corporations, that you are a representation of that particular company. And you should be mindful of your actions and your things because you represent us, regardless of work or nothing, And this is one of the reasons why, I used to work for a company, a bell company. And I would just take off my badge because sometimes I would forget that I'm carrying a badge, and people at the store would always ask me, "Can you look at my account? Can you do, And I'll have to remember to take off my badge before I go into any public arena because they will always approach me. Whatever company that I worked for always approach me about their account or why this is happening. They were giving this scenario of problems that they're having, and I'm thinking, I'm off work. I cannot, assist you. And I will always have to give them the 1-800 number to call and then, mash 1 and then mash 4, and it'll take you to the right department because I'm standing there. I am not that department that you're complaining about, And what really just surprised me is that this guy had no understanding of you could have sent him a personal email if you worked there. You have his office email. Why didn't you just say that? But no, you tweeted to millions of people who's able to see your tweet. And I'm thinking, this guy's only owned the company for about a week, and everyone is chiming in on how he is not able to conduct this purchase, with his own money. Let me just emphasize, he purchased the entire company with his own money. So, and the just everywhere is just like throwing arrows just at him, like, you're just making Twitter is terrible. The first week you see all these people, I'm leaving, and making an announcement that I'm leaving, right? And I'm thinking, if you were really leaving, you would do it quietly, and no one would know you're gone. And that's my scenario, how I look at something. You don't have to make an announcement that you are tired or something, or you don't have to make a boastful announcement. Look at me, I'm sick of this. And this is what was happening. I said the first week, he's only been behind the scenes 1 week. And I'm going to tell you guys, within the first week, I don't know if they work all night long, but there was some different functions on the social media platform that just blew me away. I was just like, geek. First of all, they have an edit. You know how long this company's been involved and they never had an edit button? They have an edit button. They have these emojis that you can do. I mean, the whole platform within a week has changed. It's like this fun place now you can go, because Twitter was just you tweet something, a news article and all of this. And there was nothing that would emphasize, the expression, this is a good day, this is a news alert. All these things have been added within a week. So now it's the second week. And there have been so many different things that will make this platform a fun place. Now, what I just wanted to just explore on that just for a moment. And again, our title is, what is it going to be? So now the employees are being fired and all of this, and, this is my take on the explosion of negative. I won't say explosion of negativity, explosion of, oh my God, what are you doing to the platform? Blah, 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 blah. Well, one of the things I want you to consider is 8 months ago, he explained to the employees what was happening. Now, 8 months ago, to me, I'm just going to say, this is something that I do at every corporation that I have worked for. I do a thorough investigation. I find out who actually started the company, who owned the company. I like to do research on why was this company established in the first place, and who established it, and what was his dream and his vision for that particular company. And just giving an example, there was one company that I worked for. It is no longer operative. It is closed, and it was bought by another company. But I worked for Bell South Internet Service, And one of the things, I've always wanted to work for Bell South only because I had relatives that worked at the company. And when I used to go out with them, they would be the most coolest people ever. And I was like, I want to work for this company. So I ended up working for Bell South Internet Service. But before I worked for the company, I did a little research on Bell, which is Bell South, which is the Bell company. And Graham Bell, who started the company, who the originator of the phone company was Graham Bell. And Graham Bell opened the telephone company because he had a mother who was deaf. And he thought it would be a issue with the people who were deaf and who wasn't able to hear, and they only can do sign language with the people in front of them. And he thought that would be a problem. So he created a phone company that would be able to communicate and assist his mother and the association of his mother, people who were like her. And this is the reason why the Bell company was opened, and which was amazing because I thought it was a great story behind it. And now we're operating on cell phones, all created by Graham Bell. So I always like to do research on all the companies. Even when I worked for FedEx, I wanted to do a little research on Fred Smith. Fred Smith opened this company. He was in college, and he created this description of what FedEx is today. And his college teacher gave him a C on the report, and he started FedEx. And I just do a lot of research on every company that I work for. And so the reason why I'm saying that is 8 months ago, he stood before the employees and he talked to them. They had 8 months to research how he is. He's all on the internet, talked about his childhood, his mother, his family. It talks about what kind of kid he was. He was a person who read every book. And it stated that he ran out of things to read. So he started reading the encyclopedia. His brothers and himself was from South Africa, and he moved to Canada and then got his legalization to live in Canada, and then he moved to America. These are the things that is there to find out what kind of person this is who bought this company and what is his work ethics. Now, I just want to say this is that you had the opportunity to do that, to find out, am I going to want to work for this person? What kind of mindset? Because it all starts from the top. Now, when we're talking about Tesla, when he bought the company Tesla, when he started the company building cars. Now, I did not understand, what was the hoopla about that particular car until I test drove it about 6 months ago. And I realized, oh, wow, this man he operates out of a system that makes you step up to the bar. When I got in that car, I was blown away. I completely was blown away with the details and the excellence, with the manuscript, the way the car is made and how it looks and how it drives, the details. And when you're driving it, you can tell this person is a person of excellence. And he goes to a level that is unimaginable. And even when he's sending Falcon 9 to lower orbit and to the space station, these are some of the things that's just really out there. And there's no question in his ethics of work. And it's going to produce a great product. Now, this is not for me to just give him this hoopla. I'm just stating that I'm leading up to something. I just wanted to just talk to you about that. I'm leading up to something. Now, we're going to come out of the Twitter situation because, like I stated, this is nothing new when another person buys another company and employees lose their jobs. Okay, this is nothing new. This is what happens. But I just wanted to share that I worked for a company. And I was doing IT for this company, and I was doing IT. That was my job. I was a tier 1 IT help desk professional. And I remember I loved the job. I extremely loved the job. And I worked the entire week. And on Friday, I worked the entire day. My ending shift was 4:00 p.m. And one of the young ladies who worked at 5 p.m. called me and said, Sonia, everyone lost their job. They sent an email to us at 4:55 and they told us we are all terminated, from the CEO to the person who cleans the parking deck. The company has officially closed and we are no longer allowed in this building. They stated that on Monday we will have police escort to our desk so that we can clean it out. So we would not touch anything. Now, this is what happened to me. Then later on, when I received a letter, it stated that the 2 weeks that I worked for, we will not get paid. And I'm standing there on a Friday thinking, I had no clue that no one will have a job. We showed up at the unemployment office. They were surprised because it's illegal for a company to abruptly close the doors and not give the unemployment notification. In Georgia, you have to give 60 days. My understanding in California, you have to give 90 days. And if 90 days or if it's in a severance package, it will be calculated with the severance package of 90 days. But 90 days of the severance package equals up to the 90 days of informing the unemployment office, but you abruptly have to leave that building immediately. That is how that is done. This is HR professionals. I'm not an HR professional, but this is something that I have researched and gave an understanding. So that happened. And this scenario is not something that is not new. I mean, there's different scenarios that happen to people when companies are transitioning. And there is another episode where another company comes in and buy another company. And again, the current employees have to go through an interview process. They will have to stand, even though you're working there, but you have to be interviewed with the new company that just bought the company to see if they want to keep you as an employee. This happens. This scenario happens. So I'm going through all the Twitter news reports and all of this, and the employees, they're responding according to the news report, giving me the notion that they have never experienced such things or read about other companies that does this. So I just, I'm just sitting here. It's amusing to me. I love just watching the whole process because I take in information and I give understanding and I listen to the conversations. I listen to I'm reading the tweets and I'm just overwhelmed with, okay, why would you tweet something so personal? I know we're in a different time, but I'm just, this tech thing is these are different types of people, different types of category of when we're talking about careers. So I'm not really sure if something changed or there was some unawareness of there's miscommunications on both parties. Are there hostility? Is there a hostile takeover? Is there a resentment as an employees? Or is it that the employees have become so relaxed and they really wanted to leave the company before the buyout? And now they're fussing because the choice have not been made on their own, but it was made by somebody else. Many emotional outbursts could be from anything. Now, I'm talking about this because it's important because these things happen, and it has happened for years. And one of the things that I am amazed that these employees have skills, and they have managed to build this company. And they have so many skills, and they could take those skills and go somewhere else and help build another tech company. But one of the things that I did want to mention that, with all the people losing their job at this place, and when I was in the tech field and I was trying to get another IT position, one of the things that I did face was a lot of racism. That blacks was not, this is not a race issue, but blacks was not given the opportunity to work with fine companies. And the reason why I want to mention that is that, trust me, if someone wondering, well, how he's going to replace all these, there's so many different black men who are excellent. I'm talking about really excellent in doing IT, that they never had the opportunity. This could be one of those situations where the opportunity may, present itself. However, or if you're a different race and you have the skills level, not to say that I'm some spokesperson for the company, but I'm just saying, because sometimes when tragic things happen to us, we like to burst out of emotions because it is striking at our ego and striking at our disposition and causes us to be in a erratic emotionally. And that happens to us all. And I, my best regards to everyone that is being affected by this company and the turnaround, that they find peace and they find their skills in the right company, and they become, a forgiving, and, in this situation will be a positive on both ends. The owner, the Twitter employees, and that everyone will come at peace with this. But I did want to talk about also characteristics and personality traits too, because this is something that involves a company. Like I stated, I've worked for several different corporations, and it's amazing. I had the opportunity to take a class, and I wanted to know the different personality traits, because within a corporation, you have so many different personality traits, and you have to, as a whole, be able to get along with everyone. And so I wanted to take a class so I can better understand what is working around me, so that I won't be irritated by personalities that I would not associate in my private life. So I took this class so I can be able to associate myself with the personality traits that I would not associate outside of work. And I took this class, and it was dealing with personality traits. And I know we have many personality traits, but this particular class dealt with 4 types of personalities. And one person, it was 4 personalities. It was the thinker, the socialist, the director, and the there's another one, and I'll probably think of it when I am talking about it. Relative, that's it. It's the relative person, the thinker, the socialist, and the director. And the teacher stated that she gave us the explanation for each of those personality traits. And I have you to know, when I came into the building and I sat at this table, and all of a sudden I started feeling this feeling of, oh, I'm not adequate with these people, because the people that was in this class came from different companies, and we all came to this class. And I was sitting at the table, and I was like looking around, and I was seeing how, beautiful they were, and how well dressed they were, how well spoken they were, and how well they look educated. And I'm just sitting there like, wow, like I couldn't even meet up the measurements. Now, I wasn't feeling this way until I got into that room. And I was like, oh my God. And so I sat at this table, and I was like, whoa, and I wouldn't hardly ever talk, because I'm just listening and observing. And so the teacher was explaining the 4 different types of personalities. And she says, we're going to put the 4 different personalities on each 4 tables. He says, the ones that I explain who your personality is, I want you to get up and go sit at the table. If you are at the table of your personality, you can remain there. So I got up and I went to a table that was more geared to my personality. And when I turned around and looked at the table that I was sitting at, They were all the same type of people, relative people. And when I sat at the table where my personality trait was like this iron sharpener, I just all of a sudden comes alive. It was amazing. I came alive, and it was amazing because I sat at the table with people who were like me. We all felt like we just knit together. It was almost like we have been friends forever, for a long time. There was nothing that stood between us of interacting with each other. And it's like everything came back to me. My knowledge, my wisdom, my confidence, my just joy and everything just came alive. And when I turned around and looked at that table that I was sitting at, they were all the same type of personality, relative people. And what that taught me is that there's nothing wrong with the different personalities. It is something wrong with where you are dwelling at that will pull the best out of you or draw out the lowest part of you. And by going to that class, it awakened my ability to know how much time that I can spend with someone before they drain this livelihood out of me into a place of I'm not comparable to you. And with the thinker was somewhat of my personality, but it was probably more of a 40% of me. But when I sat at the table as a directive person, I was 100% alive. It also taught me who I am. And the reason why I'm talking about this, because maybe you are in a place that when you go to work or when you are affiliated at a party or a place where you're going to network and you feeling so inadequate, it could be this same scenario that portion is not going to bring the best out of you, but it's going to cause you to network with them, but it's not going to bring the best part out of you. And especially when you know who you are, you know your limitations, you know your capabilities, you know what you've learned, you know what you've studied, you know what your degree is about. And all of a sudden you're around this circle that is not pulling the best out of you. It could be the same scenario. But when I sat at the table with the people of directive people, and all of a sudden I just came alive of my innovation, my creativity, the explosion, the friendship, we began to network because our energy was communicating with each other. It was dialogue. You know, there's a difference between conversation and dialogue. Dialogue is when someone can add input on what you're discussing without you having to explain what you are discussing. When you're in communication with someone and you speak dialogue, you're having to explain to the person what you're speaking about, and then you go on to the dialogue and the conversation. But with people who are like-minded, it's dialogue. And what I was learning in this, oh my God, you guys, I was learning so much about myself and about the history of where I have placed myself and the history where I seem to be pulled into or where I have walked into. I've learned a lot, but let me give a little bit explanation of the 4 personality traits so you can better understand. Of course, we had the relative people. Relative people are more of, they work on projects and then the boss will come or someone in management will come and say, hey, you did a great job on the last project. I am amazed, blah, 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 blah. But we got another project. A relative person need to be recognized that they did an excellent job. It's almost like you know, I'm going to give you your kudos, but hey, I got another project that I want you to work on. Those are the relative people. A socialist person is one who comes in on the weekends and I'll come in on a Monday talking about their weekends. They want to talk to you about their children, their grandchildren. These are the people who execute birthday parties and recognize people in the building. They're always festive. happy and, let's do this, let's celebrate. They decorating the office during the holidays. These are the socialist people. They have the job to do, but they come in and they all, good morning. You know how the ones that say, good morning, and you looking like, can you hush for a moment, And then you have the thinker. The thinker is a type of person who they are very excellent at what they do. They're very detailed. They're methodical. Okay. And you give them an assignment, but a thinker they're going to deliver. But a thinker, you have to relate to them and say, hey, I have a project for you. And you give them a deadline date. I need this project done at the end of the month. You give them an assignment and you leave them alone. They do not like to be bothered. You give them an assignment and they will deliver on that assignment and they will be excellent at what they do every time. This is a thinker. And a directive person is one who can see the whole project. They also can see in another person who to delegate each part of the project. They just know that. They know the whole circle. They need to know how my job relates to your job because they see the whole project from the beginning to the end. They know exactly who's going to do the best job on this particular part of the project. And a directive person is not one who would go and say, you did a great job on the last assignment, blah, 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 blah. They may do that one or two times, but it's not going to continue. They want to know, they may come and say, hey, what's going on with the project? Give me an update. They need to know directive. Like, don't give me in between. Just tell me exactly where you are, where you stuck. They're very like bullet points people. And they can come across to be abrasive and they can come across to be aggressive, alpha male type. But they're not abrasive and alpha male. What happens, they on a schedule in their mind and they know exactly who they delegated an assignment to. And they're expecting that assignment to be right because they have confidence in you. The reason why they delegated that assignment to you in the first place. And what I found out by going to that class, it helped me have an ease and a comfortable mindset when I'm dealing with people in the corporate end. That's when you go into the office. It doesn't even bother me anymore. The socialists would drive me absolutely crazy with these birthday celebrations. I'm not the type of person to come into the office and want to be bothered with that. Happy birthday. Okay, great. But she would come in and do that. And how I deal with that and how I dealt with it in the past, I let the person know, the socialist, hey, tally up all the people that you're going to celebrate within this year and give me a total amount so I can give you all of the money at one time so you won't bother me every month. We need $5 here and $10 there. That drives me absolutely crazy. Give me the total for the entire year versus the employees who's going to participate in the birthday club. If there are employees that have been added to the birthday list, do not bother me with the amount. That was my personality like that. And I wasn't the only one in the office who conducted that same way. Give me a total because everything that I was doing, it was like, this is the number here. Here is the money for the entire year. So you won't have to be bothered with me, And so it helped me be able to work more efficient with those who, before the class, I deemed they got on my nerves. Y'all have to just be honest. Oh my God. But it helped me understand that people who comes in are very soft talking and they're very sensitive and gentle. I know that I can't come across with them alpha male and aggressive. I just said, hey, good morning, but it helped me to be able to work well with those that you are being forced to work in corporate America. This is something I wanted to talk to you all about in the whole scenario of this podcast today. And again, our title is called, What Is It Going to Be? And I just wanted to say, as we go into a new season and a new year, and many people who are affected by the winter months and or either deciding that they want to go to another company and work for. I hope that this show today will give you a little bit of enlightenment to be able to work well with your peers and your management. And, I'm going to do another podcast on management because the podcast is getting a little too long today. But I want to do, just give up a little synopsis on what is happening with the Twitter account, with the employees and all the I call it the news report is just going bananas over this article. But it's been very enlightening, because I've never watched a company take over another company, standing from the outside looking in and reading about the different scenarios. Before, I was affected by the different scenarios because the IT company was not the only company that I have been affected by as closed doors. That was the first time I've had that experience. You work and then all of a sudden everybody lost their job, and it was like abrasively surprising. But I've been affected by several different companies, and what companies have bought another company, and I have had to fill out an application, although I'm still working there, to see if the other company wanted to hire me to work for the new company, even though the people are the same, even though the management are the same, even though the CEOs are the same. We all had to go through the hiring process all over again with the new company because the new company, that was their policy. But hey, you guys, rest assured, our life here is so amazing, and we cannot forget that our life is amazing. We cannot forget that constitution of individually that we have an amazing life, despite things may come and throw us to the curve, may throw us off our feet, cause us to be imbalanced. But believe me, we are an amazing people, and we find our way back to balance. It's like a scale. Okay, you have your left and your right, but in the middle of it all, you have to find, it has four corners. It's going to balance back anyway, because we are balanced back kind of people. So I want you to remember that we have a way of bouncing back and coming back into our place where we are settled. Okay. Peace, serenity, work, ethics, goals, we come back into our place. So sometimes when things are shaking, it causes us to pull within and find out who we really are. And when we find out who we really are, that's when the balance of the scale comes to part. Okay. But that is all I want to talk to you all about today. And I want you to be blessed. Enjoy today, enjoy the rest of the week, and enjoy the rest of the month. And this is your girl, Sonia Buchanan, with the Sonia Buchanan Show, where we inspire one life, one smile at a time. You guys go and bounce back and be the best you and be an amazing you. Until next week, bye guys. Today's show is sponsored by Aubrie Louise Designs, where fashion is passion. Today we present Neck Gaiter for the protection of your neck during the winter season. Thank you for joining our podcast today. The podcast was produced and edited by Sonia Buchanan. For more information about the host, you can go to soniabuchanan.com. For information about Comfort & Promises broadcast community, you can go to comfortandpromises.com. Thank you for listening to our broadcast, The Sonia Buchanan Show, where we focus on one life and one smile at a time. Until next time, bye you guys.